Let's build the next test. So for this purpose, we know that this state needs to use the get all users interface in order to get the information from the backend. So let's have a look how it could be done. So we need to create a test in which we're gonna get all users. Now we need to stop it. The way it works is that we just create a static sort of variable const that will implement an interface that we want to stop. And now we're gonna return an empty array just for now. This is just a stop. The idea of stop is to have a static thing that do not change during the runtime. It's different than mocks that we're gonna talk next. And in here, I need to create a state class in which I'm gonna inject that dependency and then, of course, prepare an initial state. Now, let's go ahead and add it to our state class. And in here we have the initial state and then the dependency of the get all users. If we run this test, we're gonna see something interesting. Probably you already know what. So you can see we have an error, namely that this is not using the stop, so we have to make it pass. So let's just copy paste it here and inject it here. Now when we run the test, we are passing. Now we are again in the refactor stage and we violate the don't repeat yourself rule. You can see like these lines of code are pretty much the same as the whole test here. So let's go ahead and move it to like a common place. Cool. So now we have a state variable which is equal as let. It's because we're gonna set it in before each place. So it's pretty much the same. So now we extracted the it part, the given part from the first test into the before each. You could argue you could use before all, but I know I will be adding more tests to it. So this is why I already put it to before each. And then I also took everything from this test and put it there. Now you can see it's like this test is not doing anything. It's because its whole role was to set up the state. There are a couple of more things I don't like. One of it is we don't use the Angular test bed for it. At this level we don't need it, but because we know that gets all users is using the injectable token, then let's go ahead and refactor. Let's try to inject some interface like we did in the service example. So we should really strive for the same kind of thing. The first thing, let's refactor this whole test to use more Angular approach to it. So the first thing, let's take the in state out of the before each, and then yeah, you can see I have a refactor prepared. So when you look, like initial state is outside of the before each now because the initial state will not really change for those tests. Then I also want to have a get all users as an interface. And I also want to use the Angular testbed configuration testing module. This allows me to set up the dependency injection with the get all users interface and empty observable. We want to keep it empty for now. It's pretty much the same as the empty array. And then in the before each, we also want to do the test bed and actually get that service and set up the user state. Later I will move the user state to some better place, but for now it will do pretty much okay. So let's have a look what we can do next. That I can build. Well, I definitely need to get that data. So let's build a spy. The spy will listen to the get all calls on the interface. Then let's execute some method on the state that I will call it to load all users. And let's spy, like listen that the spy actually has been executed. So this test will fail is because I have a runtime, I have a compile errors. So let's build a very simple one here. Okay, so this is all it does when I run this test. I know that the method was executed.